Hello, thank you for joining me. This will be the sketch I'll be doing for this video today. It's about 20 minutes long, so if you'd like to sketch along with me, grab a piece of paper, pen, and some watercolor paints. I'm working with a Micron pen 01, so it's a nice fine tip to start off with, and I am using a piece of hot pressed Arches watercolor paper, which I don't normally work with. So this is interesting because it's great for, it's hot press means that it just is a smoother surface than cold pressed. So the paint doesn't dry as fast. It's not great for wet on wet. It's really good for if you're doing more detailed work. And the paint does dry slower, so it's interesting because it doesn't look like it's laying on the paper, like it lays on the paper rather, and doesn't soak in, so it doesn't look right, but it dries beautifully. So I really do like working with it for certain sketches. Like this one in particular turned out really nice on it. So I started off, this is a little cottage in Florida, and I chose it because I liked the porch posts and the bicycle. And there was a carport on the right side, and I was going to include it, and then I just decided to crop it out. And I'm just focusing on the house, the fence, the bicycle, and then some of the landscaping. I started off with the roof, and then I'm just going to work my way around, keeping everything kind of in the center. I'm not going to the edge of the paper. This one's just going to float in the center. The other thing with hot press paper is it's difficult to add multiple layers. So typically I just do 1 or 2 layers, so it's not going to be difficult working with this paper for this particular subject. And I had a little bit of a break because of Milton. So we were preparing for the storm all week, putting up shutters and getting food, and we were undecided on whether we were going to stay or go, rather evacuate or stay. And there's different zones, so they go by A, B, and C, and there's D. We're in C. So they started evacuating A, and then B, which those are closer to the water. We're C, and we just were waiting on them. If they were going to evacuate C, we were going to take off and go inland to family member's house. But they never called C, so we ended up staying. And one of the reasons why we chose not to stay during Ian, because we have 2 dogs, and we just didn't know how they were going to do. And Ian, I'm glad we didn't, because that one just dragged on. It moved so slow across land. And Milton was moving a little bit faster, but was not coming directly at us. So a little north of us. But the problem with being on the south end of the storm, they call it the dirty side, is you get all of the tornadoes. So I think we had record-breaking tornadoes for this storm, and there was one not too far from us, so we went and hid in the closet with the dogs, and I was pretty scared. It's the first time in a long time I've been that scared, but luckily it didn't do much damage. Fort Myers got hit with one. We have not gone over there yet. We haven't really done any driving around. We just kind of got things back in order, and we didn't get much damage, so that was good. So that's why I wasn't posting anything, because our internet was down, and we just finally got it back up. So I was able to do a little video, narrate, and get one out today. So I'm glad to be back to normal and back to posting and sketching, of course. So I put the bike in first because the fence is behind that, and then I'm going to do just a little line underneath the fence here so I kind of know where to stop. And the top isn't going to be perfect. I'm just doing the little spiky tops of the fence and then bringing each fence post down. There. And I do love this plant in front of the house. It's really nice, simple. I don't know the name of this one, but it's really unusual. It's got those very long trunks and those palm-like pom-pom tops. And a fun thing to do is get out a piece of scratch paper and just practice your bicycles. I've done that. Just take one piece of paper and just do a bunch of bikes on there. I did a sketch that's coming up. I haven't finished editing it. And it has another golf cart. I did a golf cart in the past. So it's just fun to kind of do a little quick sketches of something that's going into your actual sketch prior to putting it in, and that way you get a little bit better feel for how you want it to look before you commit. I like this plant on this side with the pretty pink flowers. I'm sitting outside today narrating this, and it's a beautiful sunny day. It's cooled off just a little bit, humidity's down, which normally happens after a storm, but I'm hoping I can get this narrated before the landscapers start heading in. So put the little sidewalk and the curb. Even though you don't see the curb on there, I just added it because I'm going to be putting a little bit of gravel in the street, which I always love to add some gravel. Gives it just a nice little... Oh, I stuck a little piece of double stick tape down to hold my palette because I'm on a little bit of an angle, which is really good to draw on an angle because it's a little bit better for your perspective. And I like when the watercolor paint runs down a little bit too. It's not very angled, just a slight. I'm using my 0 size mop brush, and I'm going to add some water to the paper first. And I already mixed up a little bit of phthalo light green with a little bit of sap green, and then I'm going to add sap green to that for my darker shade of green. I'm just going to dab that on top of the water and let it spread. Keep those edges uneven. And I'm just dabbing it in there just because it gives you that feel of a bushy tree. And these I just like to do little circles around it. I don't want to spike it out. I kind of like the way it looks when it's kind of a roundish, not quite perfect circle around those. I'm going to mix up a blue that consists of cerulean blue and ultramarine blue for the shutters and the door and the bike. I'm going to put a little bit of that in the bicycle wheels. And I do love this zero size mop brush. It holds a lot of water, but it's got a really nice tip to it, so you can do a nice fine line or keep in the lines or do something that's really detailed. Or you can be very loose with it because it does hold a lot of water. I'm picking up some Payne's Gray. I'm going to mix that in with the blue. That'll be my shadow. Adding a little bit of pink. Give me kind of a pinky purple shadow. I'll go a little bit darker with a little more Payne's Gray for that window. And shadow under the bicycle and the curb. And I'll darken the bottom of that overhang. I think I mentioned I was going to put blue in the bike, but I think I ended up just keeping it black now that I think about it. I'm going to mix up a little bit more water into that blue and do some little speckles. If you don't like any that are in a certain area, just blot them off. Or if you're ever looking to speckle a certain area and you don't want to get it onto another area, you can put your hand over the paper and keep it from hitting a certain area. Or put up or hold a piece of paper up to cover that area that you don't want to get speckled. Maybe it's still wet or you don't want it to mix. So normally I would wait for everything to dry, but I'm gonna try and be careful and go in with my 0.1 micron and add a little gravel and work on the bicycle a little bit trying not to run my hands through those splatters. So in the reference photo, the bike does have a couple colors, the red and blue, but I decided just to keep it black. So now I've stepped aside and everything is dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and add in the second part of the details of the little cottage, these little siding, and then outline the roof and the windows and the door, just to make certain things kind of stand out a little bit. Putting little slats in the shutters. And the top little window there has a little shutter in it, or a vent. It's a great little sketch just to get your daily sketch in for the day. Just a quick 20-minute sketch. And you can see how just adding that darker line on the very top of the roof, it makes such a big difference. Doing the second round of ink is my favorite part. It just brings it to life. And I decided I wanted that door to stand out a little bit more. So I just did a darker line on the inside. And I need to add some pink flowers to the left. So I grab my palette and my little brush again, and I'm adding some opera pink. And I'm just going to lightly just put some here and there, hit and miss. Some bigger, some smaller. Some outside of the green. And here's my finished daily sketch. Simple, just a few colors. Got to practice the bicycle, and that's always fun. So I got this done without the landscapers coming in, so that was nice, and you got to enjoy some bird noises in the background on this beautiful day here in Florida after the hurricane. And I want to thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. And if you are a subscriber, I always say thank you, and give me a thumbs up if you like this. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss out on any upcoming daily sketches that I do. I don't post them daily, but I do them daily. So I post probably 2 times a week. So I'm going to try to get back on track again now that things are back in order. So thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.